Next on CyberCrime.
The Internet played a major role in the ordering and the packaging and the sending back to the United States these controlled substances.
It's a cybercrime investigation into the first ever raid on foreign web pharmacies.
Plus, the first courtroom on the Internet that includes a jury.
And the publisher of 2600 takes a hit by the movie industry in the newest TV ruling.
CyberCrime is brought to you by Symantec.
Hi there, welcome to CyberCrime.
This week, I've got the inside details on a U.S. Customs bust.
And we'll take you inside what some are calling the courtroom of the future.
Plus, we've got the CyberCrime news and review.
And of course, it would not be a show without Chaos Theory.
Okay, let's get started. In the past, we've reported on the illegal sale of drugs online. Now it's time to look at what law enforcement is doing to curtail the sale of controlled substances like Viagra, Tylenol with codeine, Valium. What U.S. Customs has learned is many of the sales come out of Thailand. Over the past year, U.S. Customs and Thai authorities have made thousands of drug seizures. The place where many of these investigations get started, New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport.
To say Vitality Health Products was brazen would be an understatement. In fact, the foreign online pharmacy was so blatantly illegal, it warned its customers you might not get your drugs. So there's a real risk of theft or seizure by customs. Notwithstanding, for years, hundreds of customers, mostly Americans, week after week, bought prescription drugs from Vitality, that is, without a prescription. But, like so many drug cases, it all ended with a U.S. Customs facility at JFK Airport.
We have 120 international flights arriving here every day, and all of them carry mail.
55 U.S. Customs employees working 7 days a week, plus all holidays, sift through more than 30 million pieces of mail each year, making New York's JFK Airport the largest international mail facility in the nation. They work for John McCormick, and a 38-year customs veteran will tell you finding illegal narcotics starts with what's called segregation.
Segregation is very important. Our people are very educated because they've worked here for years. They can actually tell sometimes just by the parcel itself what's in it, whether it's a book, whether it's a cake, whether it's medicine.
Ralph Pisani, assistant chief of the mail branch, walked me through the facility, identifying the various ways the mail is first segregated. The K-9 unit is used for some of the larger packages. In a matter of seconds, Harv found the 1 pound of hashish planted in the far corner of the room. Mail technicians segregate medium-sized parcels based on the packaging, handwriting, and spelling, while also looking for particular target countries. Target countries are both those suspected of producing the drugs and also what's called transit countries.
We don't call them source countries, they're transit countries, because now, let's take ecstasy as an example. A lot of it's produced in France and the Netherlands, but it's being shipped out of Europe from countries such as Portugal and Belgium.
Parcels suspected of containing illegal drugs are designated for enforcement and are taken to the cage, where they are x-rayed. In this case, the suspicious package does contain pills, but they're determined to be legitimate vitamins. The box is then stamped and dated to indicate it's been opened.
This mail entails basically letters, what we call flags, large envelopes, and small parcels, what we call AOs or any other.
Here, we hit pay dirt. In a matter of 10 minutes, I witnessed a half-dozen drug seizures.
This is where we process all of our seizures, and we store all the seized narcotics.
In this restricted area, the drugs are tested, processed, and assigned a seizure number.
The vault is the last stop for a seized package or letter. It's restricted to authorized customs personnel only. It holds narcotics like cocaine, opium, heroin, ecstasy, all temporarily stored before either being destroyed, scheduled for a controlled delivery, or being used as evidence.
Well, on a daily basis, I get an email from the inspectors here at the mail facility. They compile their controlled deliveries, they call it, the narcotics that they feel could be possibly prosecuted.
At JFK, Tim O'Brien sees about 50 narcotic seizures a day, and now many of them are small amounts ordered over the web.
The ones where the office is interested in this particular drug, be it small quantities or large quantities, I'll give them a call.
The call on Vitality Health products came last fall. Soon thereafter, at the Bangkok, Thailand Customs Mail Facility, custom agents and Thai authorities cut off the flow of drugs from Vitality.
I've seen numerous kinds of seizures, starting out with false bottom suitcases, to body carries, to hollowed out books, to statues, to using vegetables, hollowed out vegetables, bowling balls.
And in the Thailand case, one such device was a jigsaw puzzle.
But we're always right there with them.
In the end, the first ever raids on foreign web pharmacies resulted in the seizure of 245 parcels bound for the U.S. containing more than 2.5 million units of drugs.
There's nothing more invigorating to a customs employee than making a seizure and knowing that whatever this controlled substance is off the street.
And Vitality wasn't the only website taken down. There were actually 6 total. That case demonstrated that often it's the small narcotic seizures that can lead to major busts. In total, 22 arrests were made in Thailand, 6 in Albany, New York. And one final note, 80% of the customers in that case were located in the U.S. The average order was about $200. For more details on that story and many others, go to our website. The address is zdtv.com/cybercrime. And while you're there, you might as well give your computer a checkup. Click on the icon at the top right-hand corner of the page. Our scanner confirms that your computer doesn't have any of the top 5 viruses, and now you can also find out whether your computer is exposing information to would-be attackers. Try the scanner. Let us know what you think. You can do that by emailing us at scannerfeedback@zdtv.com. Coming up next on Cybercrime, details of a foiled plot to extort money from the Bloomberg Financial News Service.
Topping our cybercrime news this week, Hollywood film studios win a legal victory in their fight against posting DVD encryption code. On Thursday, a federal judge ruled the defendant, Eric Corley, publisher of 2600 The Hacker Quarterly, could not post software code that unlocks scrambling on DVDs. The court ruled the program used to copy and swap movies on the net is not entitled to free speech protection. Corley's attorney has said they will appeal the decision. Meantime, on Capitol Hill, the FBI's controversial email snooping program, Carnivore, is now facing review from privacy groups. The Electronic Privacy Information Center, or EPIC, has been granted access to FBI documents about the software. Up to 3,000 pages of internal documents will be released in the next month and a half, with additional material available at 45-day intervals. In addition, Attorney General Janet Reno has promised the Justice Department will appoint a university to conduct an independent review of the Carnivore system. And the owners of a website based in Amsterdam called iToke.com say they intend to sell marijuana over the Internet. Beginning next month, the company will allow customers who live in Amsterdam to use prepaid iToken cards to place their order online. A messenger service will then deliver the order within 30 minutes. It's likely the site will have some uphill legal battles. Current laws in Amsterdam prohibit marijuana sales outside of cafes. And finally this week, British police say they foiled a plot to extort money from the Bloomberg Financial News Service. 2 men from Kazakhstan were arrested after meeting with company founder Michael Bloomberg in a sting operation. The defendants are accused of breaking into Bloomberg's computer system and then demanding $200,000 to explain how they did it. For all the latest news, go to our website, zdtv.com/cybercrime. And still ahead on CyberCrime.
iCourthouse offers an inexpensive way in which to test the market and to see whether or not a case like that will fly.
Is this the courtroom of the future? At iCourthouse.com, you can file a virtual lawsuit and even hear from a virtual jury. We'll tell you how it works right after this. Welcome back to CyberCrime. Legal voyeurism has been captivating audiences for years. Think back to the days of Perry Mason, Inherit the Wind, and more recently, the O.J. Simpson trial. The American public is drawn into the human drama of the courtroom. But I'm not just talking about a brick-and-mortar courtroom. Not anymore. Consider iCourthouse.com, the Internet's first virtual courtroom that includes a jury. And while it certainly offers entertainment value, there is a more serious side, and for some, it may become the latest tool of the trade.
Initially, it was I had to have that patch on 24 hours a day, and I had to chew gum at the same time, and it really was very, very intense for me.
For years, Linda Lipscomb battled her addiction to nicotine. To help cut down on cravings, she began using quit-smoking aids like the patch and nicotine gum. All told, Linda estimates she spent nearly $16,000. Now she's suing the tobacco company, arguing it should pay for the cost of treating her addiction. The real story isn't who she's suing or even why. It's where.
I went to iCourthouse because the damages in a case such as mine probably are not great on an individual basis. Perhaps they're not even great enough for me as an attorney with knowledge of the system to go in on a pro per basis. But iCourthouse offers an inexpensive way in which to test the market and to see whether or not a case like that will fly.
Linda, like hundreds of others, filed her case on iCourthouse.com. Which is exactly what it sounds like, a courtroom on the Internet, complete with trial books, evidence, and even a jury.
It's a forum where people who have disputes, whether they arise online or in the offline world, can bring their case to iCourthouse and have it decided by the iCourthouse jurors.
The website is the brainchild of two attorneys, Clyde and Claudia Long. They've learned firsthand the limitations of our brick-and-mortar legal system.
One reason we need iCourthouse, sort of one of the more serious applications of iCourthouse, is there are millions of transactions, e-commerce transactions on the web every day, and many of those transactions are between people who are in different states or different countries. A lot of the problems may involve a $50 issue or a $100 issue. Now, you can't go to the courthouse. First of all, what courthouse would you go to? Second of all, it's not cost-effective to do that.
Now, realistically, a dispute over $100 doesn't warrant a day in court. Certainly not a courtroom like this one. But try telling that to the person who lost $100. And what about the jury? Now, for civil cases, trial by jury is guaranteed by the 7th Amendment of the Constitution. And while few would argue the necessity of a jury, many don't want to serve. One of the unique features of iCourthouse.com, jury service is voluntary. You decide if you want to serve. You decide which cases you serve on.
People are there because they want to be. They're there when they want to be. But they're taking it seriously in terms of their participation. It's something they're doing because they want to, and they're doing it as well as they can. They're giving all of their thought to whatever verdict they're rendering.
Now, keep in mind, all verdicts rendered on iCourthouse are non-binding, unless otherwise agreed upon by both parties. Some might argue a non-binding decision amounts to nothing more than a waste of time. But Linda says it's like sending up a test balloon.
I found the responses and commentaries from the various jurors, whose names are not disclosed, nor are their profiles or anything else about them disclosed, to be helpful in how one would go about structuring a case. The specific evidence that one would use, the theories of law that one would use.
Our jurors can question you. They give you their verdicts. They give you comments along with their verdict. And so it's a way to have essentially your day in court. It's a way to get feedback about whether your case is good or not, whether it works or not. And it gives you some tools you can use to work with your opposing party to try to settle your case.
Currently, there are more than 200 cases on iCourthouse, everything from sexual harassment lawsuits to a tattoo with a typo.
The guy got a Harley-Davidson tattoo because he just got his Harley-Davidson bike and was into that culture. And the tattoo artist misspelled Davidson.
Online dispute resolution is not a new concept. Consider Click and Settle and SquareTrade.com. Both sites help parties work out their disagreements without lawyers or lawsuits. Attorney Jessica Notini serves as a mediator on SquareTrade.com.
The difference between SquareTrade and iCourthouse would be that iCourthouse, you're getting somebody's decision about what they think is the appropriate result in your case. When you're going to a mediator through SquareTrade.com, you're getting a facilitator, somebody who's helping you try to work out your own negotiated settlement, not giving you an opinion.
But again, those opinions on iCourthouse are non-binding. And if you ask Jessica, that's a good thing, at least for now.
If it's going to have a binding result ultimately, the process needs to have more protections, for example, in selection of jurors and ensuring that those jurors are neutral, non-biased, which currently is not the case. You have no idea who your jurors are on iCourthouse. You'd also want some means of ensuring that the jurors are looking at the law and what are the applicable legal principles when they're making their decisions.
Because the question really is, what is the standard of behavior in cyber world? And you see cyber crimes, you see cyber ripoffs. The standards have to be set by the cyber court, and that's us.
Okay, let's talk about the jury, because that part is unique to iCourthouse, and I find that very interesting.
It is. It's unique for a couple of reasons, Alex. One, iCourthouse is the only online dispute resolution website that has a jury. And two, it's unique because you can have as many jury members on a case as sign up. There was one case I was told on iCourthouse that had 200 jury members, and clearly that doesn't happen in the offline world.
And you like that point.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying I like that or I dislike that. If you're asking me if I like the idea of online dispute resolution, I do. I think it's a good use of the internet, and I think with e-commerce transactions that it can help settle cases that aren't in the same state.
Well, I think it's interesting. I think it's particularly interesting when you have 200 people that are not even talking to one another, because I associate classically a jury that's feeding off of one another and collaborating and all agreeing or all disagreeing. So to that extent, as long as it's non-binding, I'm fine with it. But as soon as it starts getting binding, I think it gets a little tricky.
Right, and that's obviously, iCourthouse is in its infancy and is not ready to go to binding decisions unless otherwise agreed upon by both parties, which is an option. But generally speaking, it is non-binding. And it's, like we mentioned in the piece, it's sending up a test balloon.
Right.
Your case
that's interesting.
Water.
Right, and I can't take it too seriously because it's a way for them to work that out. But we'll continue to follow how it progresses. Thank you very much for the story. You got our take, Jen and I, how we feel about settling legal disputes online. Now it's your turn. Tell us what you think in our CyberCrime Weekly poll. If you think online dispute resolution is a good idea, pick A. Perhaps you already used a site like iCourthouse and had a good experience. That's B. Or maybe you tried it and it amounted to nothing more than a waste of your time. That's C. And finally, there's D. You think the wheels of justice have no place on the information superhighway. Head to our website, ZDTV.com/cybercrime, and cast your vote. You can also chat with us on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and tell us more. When we return from the break.
Wake up. The Internet is not a library. The Internet is a mirror of society.
It's Count Zero from the hacker group that Cult of the Dead Cow. And if you think the web's just one big library, Zero says, get a grip. His Chaos Theory is next.
Welcome back. Turning our attention to chaos theory. When you log online, do you know exactly what you're looking for? Or are you just sort of surfing around hoping something will catch your interest? Maybe you're somewhere in between those two. And think of the Internet as more of a library with neatly arranged shelves and card catalogs to help you find what you need. If that's the case, Count Zero from the hacker group The Cult of the Dead Cow has some advice for you. Here's his chaos theory.
One thing that really bugs me is that people think the Internet is a library. They think it's something that's a bunch of books on shelves, neatly packaged, neatly arranged, Dewey Decimal System, easy to find everything that you want. Wake stuff. The internet is not a library. The internet is a mirror of society. It's a bunch of conversations, a bunch of messy people talking to each other, sharing ideas, arguing with each other, coming up with great ideas, coming up with lousy ideas, and you just got to learn to deal with it. There's no way around that. It's organic. It's not going to be neatly packaged and shrink wrapped on a shelf with little labels on it, helping you find exactly what you need to find. You got to dig. You got to go in, talk to people, engage in this conversation. Join bulletin boards, join chat rooms, put up websites, link to other websites, read other people's websites, and then write your own website, put up your own word, and then share it with the world. The internet is never going to be like a library. It's never going to be neatly packaged and shrink wrapped. There's no Dewey Decimal System that's going to organize it. The same way you can't organize life on a Dewey Decimal System. It's just mirroring society, and people just have to learn to deal with it because it's never going to change. And it's going to be messy. That's just life. Life is messy.
I agree with Count Zero. I think you have to work harder than ever nowadays to find what you want. You have to pull the information toward you. It is a messy process.
Well, it is a messy process, but I would disagree with Count Zero that people that go online expect it to be a library. I don't think people are thinking that it's going to be neat and orderly. I think that people that go online on a regular basis know that it is messy, just like life.
Yeah, now more than ever. Now more than ever. That's it. The show's over. We don't have any more time.
And, of course, we'll be back again next week. But before we go, here's a look at one of the stories we're working on.
They believe that their child's not a criminal, but they're really not. In a couple seconds, they'll see the skull and crossbones sign.
It's one man's crusade against child porn on the net. Instead of getting pornographic pictures, users may be exposing their crime and could end up on this wall of shame. We'll tell you how it works and what law enforcement thinks of the effort.
So, be here next week for much more. In the meantime, we'd like to hear from you. Email us. Our address is cybercrime@zdtv.com.
Or talk to our staff live in the chat. That's on Mondays from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, you can always find all the latest cybercrime news at our website. That's zdtv.com/cybercrime. See you next week.